We'll be talking about agricultural sector development, certainly a sensitive issue globally, this issue of food security, sensitive issue here in the region and for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a bit of a different panel today. We usually have 3 speakers. Today we have 5. We have an innovative panel with 2 speakers presenting at first, and so we have 4 presentations altogether. I'm going to get straight to the introduction so we can get to the presentations and questions and answers. First up, we have Dr. Chaney Martin, who's the founding director of Smart Ready Consultancy Limited, who holds a PhD in crop science here from the University of the West Indies. This is a joint paper that he's presenting with Mario Lewis, who is a founding director of INIPSIS, whose mission is the conversion of organic solid waste into affordable, locally made organic fertilizers, soils, enhancers, and animal feeds through the application of state-of-the-art technology. He was a speaker at the United States Composting Council and has taken workshops in the United States. So I'll invite Dr. Chaney to St. Martin to join us on the podium.
All right, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. I would like to start by saying it is really a pleasure, and I want to really thank Mario for what we're about to do here. We have had an interesting journey, and it is something that we are passionate about. So you may see me getting a bit out of control because of my passion, but it is something that I think is worth talking about, and we just wanted this opportunity to present. Our background, my background is in agriculture, as you heard, and also some molecular science, and Mario's background is in art. So it is not so close to economics, but I've found that some of the persons outside of the disciplines are the ones that become passionate and tend to drive it. I could speak towards agriculture myself. So what we wanted to do is to just introduce the idea of agriculture diversification, but within the context of a circular economy. And what we want to argue here is essentially that perhaps the reason why diversification has been failing is because it is being done in the context of a linear economy. So therefore, the title of our presentation is Agricultural Diversification in the Circular Economy, Building Business Technology Models for Transformation of Agriculture Waste into Useful Products. And that is the action. It is not just talking about the theory, but we want to share our experience, what we did so far in terms of building a model. So the structure of the presentation will be, we'll present a brief background. We'll talk about diversification, not in the total literature review concept, but just to highlight some points that we think are pertinent to continue the presentation. We'll also list the objective of this presentation, and then we'll delve into what the circular model is, and the issue of waste, and also waste as a resource. We'll also present INIPSIS as a case of building a business technology model with waste, and we'll provide some conclusions and recommendations. So the first thing is that essentially we want to capture the concept of diversification, which generally persons tend to think it's an issue of not putting all your eggs into one basket, so to speak. More so, we want to emphasize one of the definitions that we came across, which is the Dwaka 2011, where Dwaka stated that the whole issue of diversification, it is an aspect of diversifying your risk by investing in different sectors and also different securities. But we want to argue here that essentially, while the definitions are important, our failure for diversification in the Caribbean is not one that is lack of a clear definition per se, but more an issue of the conceptualization and how we implement projects and initiatives related to diversification. And so we want to shift as it relates to agriculture diversification. Essentially, the model that has been used from the literature is one that emphasizes the export-oriented crop diversification model. And when we look at the ways of diversification, we are going to argue that it has not been as successful as we would like it to be. And there are a lot of literature suggesting why. And we are seeing that some of these include the inept macroeconomic policies, land distribution issues, and also inadequate investment in the agriculture and infrastructure. And this has been lamented by DMAS 1987 up to Jack Dio Initiative in 2007. What we want to say, what we want to emphasize here is that because of the interrelatedness of these complex and pervasive issues, it really necessitates that probably we think whether that we need to change the structure of the economy or strengthen some aspects of it. So this is our thinking in terms of if this thing has not been working for years, through ways, or we're not getting what we want, perhaps it is something deeper. And that is where we present the case that probably it's the economic structure or how we look at economics that is probably the issue. So the objective of the presentation is really to present the circular economy as an alternative to better facilitate agriculture diversification as it relates to the transformation of agriculture waste into useful products. So we are not looking at the entire agriculture chain. What we want to look at is the work that we are interested in and we have been doing. And this is what we want to show here. Essentially, this is the linear model here. And we're looking at the issue of resource extraction, production, distribution, and consumption with the endpoint of waste, which essentially is not worked back into the system or looped. So it is an open system, as opposed to a circular economy where you have some aspect of the waste being minimized and also reused. And that is based upon the cradle-to-cradle approach, which was promoted by McDonough 2002, where we have valuable materials and the resource are maintained in the economy as long as possible, and you have the emphasis on the reduction of waste. And to us, this is a beautiful thing, for the main point is that it emphasizes resource efficiency. And in that context, we are thinking whether composting, for example, which is the potential transformation of the waste into useful agriculture products, whether that is an option that we could examine, and if so, how do we examine it to improve the resource efficiency? And we talk about maximization, recovery, and also optimization. And we use these diagrams here to really point out the view that, are we really making the maximum use of our waste? You could see clearly here that this is actually a truck that has been loaded to go to a particular destination. One could argue whether the threshold, it is beyond the threshold, and whether you're getting maximum returns. But we wanted to show the effort in terms of using what you have to achieve a particular goal. And this here is really things that we throw away. The plant actually around this waste, these are the quantities of waste that we throw away. In fact, in the Caribbean, over 50% of the waste that is thrown away or in the landfill are organics and could be reused and transformed into useful products. And here, I remember seeing this picture of a guy who's standing on a compost heap. And essentially, when you look at the figures in terms of how many things, like Promix is one of these soil-like agents that persons grow plants in, we have a cost of about 500,000 US being spent only on that product to be imported into the island. And we are arguing that we could use some of the organic waste, and this is the potential in a conservative manner that we can gain from that resource. So I'll turn you on to Mario.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce my company, Inipsys. Dr. Chaney Martin is one of the partners. Eric Burgers from Holland, he's another partner, and a couple others who are not here at the moment. As we know, Trinidad is a small country, and I took it upon myself to look at a solution that we hear every day. How can we be more self-sustaining when it comes to food? What are the problems we face in agriculture? And what are the things we can do to change it? So my little company, along with several other people, collaborate, and we came up with an idea to look at using waste as a resource and converting it into agriculture inputs, such as soil amendment, fertilizers, and what have you, and animal feeds to begin with. Large-scale composting in Trinidad, as you know, does not exist for a number of reasons. Country is too small, we don't have the resources, the technology, the manpower, we don't have policies, and a lot of other things that we all talk about every day. I would also like you to understand that my view of my country is that we have a lot of intelligent people in this room right now, and accordingly in the University of the West Indies. However, the issue about connecting business, enterprise with research and technology, government with policy, and people on the ground understanding what are the possibilities. So Inipsys look at these issues within a circular economy. One of the main starting point that we work with is new technology. Technology that could be adaptable, scalable, applied in a society such as ours, that we don't spend a lot of money wasting time and getting very little result. That is a common factor that we face in Trinidad and Tobago. So we take things from the ground, we build as we go, we network with our stakeholders, we learn fast, we do pilots, we do tests, evidence-based, collect data, analyze, and then roll out. This is a concept based on value proposition, value architecture, value finance, value network, based on my little diagram you could see there. Value proposition for us is looking at a composter design that is consistent with regards to the end product, that takes a shorter time to process, that is adaptable to any soil and agricultural model, develop alternative products for pests and disease management. In saying that, it's not possible unless we form networks with very important knowledgeable people right here in the University of the West Indies, such as Dr. Eudoxie, Micah Martin, Mr. Brian Smith, Ricardo Belford, who is in Canada right now, and Jen Thomas, who is a student of Dr. St. Martin's. All right? Value architecture for me is really important because it relies a lot on how you're going to scale, build, develop, and create this opportunity that is sustainable. And for that to happen, you need to have certain systems in place that would afford such things to unfold over time. So a lot of time we look at issues around projects, strategic advocacy, education and training, partnership alliances, networking, the idea around how our business model could be designed and at the same time develop a consistent amount of different types of products. Value finance, all based on, you don't need a lot of money to start this thing. You need imagination. You need to think about what resources you have at your disposal and how you can take that and transform that into something. So we do a lot of prototyping. We do a lot of things that we get a lot of bad results, but it don't stop us from trying and eventually come up with some solutions. We scale it, we measure it, we do it incrementally, we do market tests, and then commercialization. You're famous with this particular person. He made a statement, 1 from 10 equals 0. We see that as an opportunity, and it's all based on networking. We believe in networking. We believe in associating with people from different factors, different organizations, local, international, regional, and we build that as we continue each day. The role of the business has been a real difficult part for us locally. We have never been able to engage any government ministers, agencies, what have you. No reply on emails, phone calls. We are now building a lot of traction in the Caribbean, Guyana, Grenada, and other places, even as far as the United States. We also building relationship in the Middle East, but for some reason, Trinidad and Tobago ignores us tremendously. We have a lot of relationship with research institutions here and abroad as well, of course, businesses, international agencies. We're building capacity with community groups and farmers groups. Our business concept is based on business research, community development, and you can see from my diagram here, it almost looks like a gender sign, which it is, but I think about it in a way, it's like raising a child, nurturing a child, but this can't happen unless you have a community around to make it happen. So research, product, ecology are really driving force. We are out of time, so thank you very much.